Subscribe for Reddit's controversial opinions. Kids should be taught that hitting back is acceptable. I'm fed up of listening to other kids getting told off for fighting back when they are getting hit/picked on when I take my children to school/kids play centers. If your child is being bullied and had the courage to stand up for themselves, showing the bullies they are not an easy target, that takes a lot of courage. I'd never encourage they should hit first, but they should definitely respond to it. I broke a girl's glasses because she was being mean to me. I had gone home crying multiple times, and one day my dad was like, "Just punch her back." And I did. He laughed at the other girl's mom when she came to the house with the girl bully's broken glasses. She stopped bugging me. I've always told this to my son. Came in handy recently. Another kid was shoving him and slapping him at Cub Scouts Pinewood Derby event, which is chaotic, and while parents are there they are running races, clocking times, etc. He told him to stop. He didn't. He punched the kid in the face once, not hard enough to cause damage cause they are 10. He told me later and I said, "Good for you." Unfortunately, 90 times out of 10, the kid who hits back gets in trouble, not the one who hit first. That's just how it works. Why did you hit Johnny? Johnny hit me first. We didn't see Johnny hit. We saw you hit Johnny and now he's crying. I've seen years-long bullying ended with a 5-minute fight. I second this extremely hard. This doesn't mean it's always the way to go. I personally never found it necessary to use anything but my words, but to state that it never works or that it's not an option is stupid, put bluntly. In general, kids are taught not to fight back in case the situation escalates, because kids are kids and they might not stop at a few good jabs. Physical bullying does not usually stop by ignoring it, the same way verbal bullying would. Never start a fight. Always be prepared to finish one. In elementary school, this guy bullied me frequently. One day he did the old pull out the chair from under me trick. When I fell onto the ground he started kicking me. I had enough and punched his arm. Our teacher saw that and made me apologize despite my attempts to tell him what just happened. He even called my parents and only I got in trouble. As a bullied kid, I can say that I regret not fighting back. I was taught not to, and punished if I even verbally retaliated. I wish someone had told me, if you punch one of these little bastards, you will get in trouble and you will get banged up, but you will respect yourself more. My wife and I are divided. I'm like, hey, you need to be able to stand up for yourself with words. It's not okay to be a doormat, but violence isn't the answer either. My wife's like, if that sumbitch tries to swing, you better show him what's up. Yo mama didn't raise no punk ass bitch. My kids have been in one fight with a bully. 1. Why 1? Because they weren't afraid to swing back and they got a reputation, so bullies steer clear. Deleted. I agree. On the other end, if your kid is the little shit running around and hitting other kids, parent your child. Kids shouldn't hit nobody unless they're hit first, it's that simple. As a former child watcher, little kids standing up for themselves was always something that's appreciated, and I was always very clear with their parents that I wasn't mad. Timeouts and sending a kid's home really only go so far. But when a kid stands up, little bullies learn lessons. Used to be the weirdo at school with no friends, ones who seemed to be my friends never really invited me out and probably felt sympathy. The hardest girl in school for no reason said she was going to hit me after school one day. I never really cared for threats and knew that if someone wanted to do it they would. And probably wouldn't talk about doing it. I remember saying to her, "Okay, cool. I'll see you after school." I leave via North Gate. Without any care. As I left I looked at her as though to say, "Well, what you waiting for? I see you and you see me." She didn't do anything. Had she hit me I probably would have hit her back, not the first punch though. Sometimes you got to stare it in the face and seem like you don't give a shit. Part of me didn't a little bit wondered though. To your question, yes, but in equal measure to what is give and in defense. Basically, if they hit once don't kill them and say they started it, just return the gesture they give you. Got into a fight with a kid who bullied me in the 9th grade. When I was younger, people used to say I looked like Harry Potter. I even went trick-or-treating in the 3rd grade as Harry Potter, but by the 9th grade I had lost all interest in the series. So another kid would constantly taunt me in one of my classes for looking like Harry Potter. One day he shoved a pencil in my face like it was a magic wand as I walked through the door into the classroom. I shoved him out of the way and he responded by tackling me. I only remember him tackling me and pushing me into the teacher's computer monitor, not a flat screen. One of those old Dell monitors, knocking it off of the teacher's desk. As far as I can recall, the fight simply ended after that. Later I was sent to the vice principal's office regarding the fight. She acknowledged that I was just sticking up for myself and didn't really do anything wrong, but I had to be suspended for 1 day. I later found out that my bully got withdrawn from that school because he may have been using a false address to attend my high school, so I didn't have to deal with him anymore. I remember my dad sitting me down when I was 6 or 7 and telling me never to hit anyone, but if someone hits me then to always defend myself. I guess it's all just different depending on your circumstances growing up. There was always fights going on when I was a kid in school, but my cousins that live in Ohio live such a sheltered life I don't think they ever had to worry about anything like that. We were never told this and I endured bullying for a long time. My father prepared me through little jabs in the mean wordplay region because he got bullied that way and wanted us to be able to give it right back and not take it to heart. I always saw that part as a bit of strange humor and carry it to this day. My friends know it's all in good fun and go along with it. Those who bully were always surprised they didn't get under my skin with it. The problem was that some of them had been physical from day one. I don't really bruise, or at least not from being punched and kicked, but a damn doorway that I lightly walk into leaves a huge bruise, thanks body, and my parents weren't able to do anything because they were such little angels around their parents. One day one of them straight up started to choke me in a manner that suggested I wouldn't get away unscathed, if at all. In my panic I kicked him in the nuts. He screamed, I ran away, end of story. He never bothered me after that and a couple of his friends stopped as well. Some of those shitheads kept bullying me, but I started fighting back physically and at least the physical attacks stopped when we went to secondary school. Bullies are very good at manipulating and distorting the actual story, and get on a power trip by harassing people who are innocent. However, when the victim fights back, their ego goes down and they can't bear criticism whatsoever. Very common for children to become bullies in dysfunctional households where they don't get positive attention from other family members. I was new in a school and the class tough guy tested me. Sure, he was bigger and didn't go 100% on me, but I'm sure my time in that school would have been very different if I didn't stand up for myself the first day. Years ago my son was being picked on by 3 boys. He told the teacher and I spoke with the teacher and was told boys will be boys. So, I told my son the next time they trip or hit you, hit back. Well, when he did I was called into the principal's office with those other 3 moms crying about their sons being traumatized. Luckily, the principal had been informed of the situation and my son didn't get in trouble. You can't go around starting shit and then claim victimhood when shit comes back to you. My dad always told me if someone hits you, hit them back twice as hard, no matter who they are. That's a rule I live by and will teach my future kids, LOL. My parents never told me to fight back, but once I did, they said it was okay thing to do. My dad told my brother to never ever hit a woman because it's wrong. This kid's gonna get beat up by a woman one day and is gonna just let it fucking happen. You shouldn't hit anyone unless you have to, and it doesn't matter what damn gender they are. I will teach my daughter never to throw the first punch, but throw the second and the last punch. I don't give a fuck if school suspends her for defending herself. Let her have a vacation. They end up with that built in. We have to stop teaching them to get rid of their natural instinct. I always liked what I was taught: if I was hit first, if the kid is bigger than you, kick him in the nuts and punch him in the face when he's reeling. If he's smaller than you, try to de-escalate the situation as much as possible before hitting back so I don't seriously hurt someone. Never was I taught to not respond at all, though that is just ludicrous. I think in general not encouraging aggression is probably for the best, but only to an extent. People should be taught to take a fair bit of punishment, if they think they can handle it, before hitting back, because I think they should also be taught to respond with overwhelming force once that threshold is crossed, as to deter any further aggression entirely. If you teach them to go around aggressively responding to every kid who puts their hands on them, you're going to end up with a high-strung kid who hits first and asks questions later, and kids have enough trouble making competent decisions as it is. Furthermore, I think it's more important to teach them to play to whatever their strengths may be in any given situation. Sometimes being faster and smarter is significantly more meaningful in combat than hitting hard or being tenacious. I think there's a difference between raising your kid to think hitting back is acceptable and raising your kid to be strong enough to know intuitively where their line is. My Vietnam vet father told me the bigger man always walks away, but he never punished me for knowing when I, personally, couldn't let something stand without violence.